Hello and good morning. Well, it's not necessarily morning where you are, but it's morning where we are. We're getting ready to launch another episode of Student of the Gun Radio. And thank you for joining us. As a matter of fact, by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be Monday afternoon. So we hope you have a good week planned. Jared, tell the folks about our busy weekend. We're sitting here in the booth. I'm in the glass case of emotion. Jared's on the other side, and I looked over at him, and I seriously said to him, "What day is today?"
And I didn't really know what to answer there. I thought it was coming up on the weekend. This past weekend, we had our Force Options class on Friday, and then we had Beyond the Band-Aid Saturday and Sunday. And we had a great group of students.
Yeah, we really did. You know, that's something that we found here since we launched Student of the Gun University, that the people that do arrive are dedicated. They want to be here. They're motivated to be here. And it's always nice to spend time with people like that.
And before we get too far into the meat here, or before we get started with the radio, I just want to let you guys know that I got some new toys in the studio, and this will be the first episode that I'm using the new toys. So I like to get feedback on what you guys, because I know how I listen to my stuff, and I know what it sounds like when I listen to it, but it's not here for me, it's here for you. So
yeah,
give us some feedback.
Jared's got a new board. We have a brand new mixing board, folks. That's right. It's the it's not the T1000.
It's the TK4?
It's not the TK421.
Oh, that's funny. Speaking of TK4, this weekend, and when Dad was teaching Beyond the Band-Aid class, he actually had an epiphany. And what was that epiphany?
Well, there's a tourniquet called a TK4. Now, we looked it up online, and for the Star Wars geeks, the stormtrooper who was having the problem with his radio helmet, his helmet radio, was TK421. TK421, why aren't you at your post? Well, yeah, there's a tourniquet out there called the TK4 tourniquet. So almost that close.
Maybe the person that invented the tourniquet was a Star Wars geek.
Well, it could have been. Maybe it's an official stormtrooper tourniquet. Maybe that's it. But before we talk about tourniquets and all that stuff, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about tourniquets on the show, but we want to make sure that we acknowledge our buddies, our friends, and first and foremost, we didn't get a new promo code yet, so we're going to go with GTF. And the Brownells promo code, and it's good until October. So it's GTF, Golf Tango Foxtrot. You go to brownells.com and use that. You put in that promo code, and if you spend $50 or more, you're going to get a $10 gift card. Also, at least two of our students that were here this weekend told us that they had ordered some SWAT fuel, that they were working with the multivitamins and the pre-workout supplements and what have you. So if you guys go over to swatfuel.com, and that's the way it is, swatfuel.com, make a purchase, use a special promo code SOTG2014. That's Student of the Gun, SOTG2014, and you're going to get 20% off of your total purchase, which is pretty righteous. Don't forget about our buddies at Colt, and you can find all the stuff that they sell at Colt.com. And you want to be checking that out, because I think they just updated their website, if I'm speaking correctly. And not only SWAT Fuel, but Excess Sights. We don't want to forget about our friends at Excess Sights. Now, we've got Jared, you didn't really cut it down. We've got a question from the forum, and it is from Sergio. And Sergio wants to know, he wants to talk about tinfoil hat time. So
tinfoil hats.
Yeah, tinfoil hats. Jared's going to read it, and then we're going to address it.
Sergio posted his question to the forum, and you can do that at forums.studentofthegun.com. Obviously, if we pick your question, we read it on the air. Then we send your info to Excess Sights, and they send you a good guy pack. And Sergio, I need you to send me, that's Jared, JARRAD, at studentofthegun.com. Send me your address, your shirt size, and your phone number. And Sergio says, it's tinfoil hat time. What are your opinions on sharing photos of our guns or pro-gun opinions on social media? Are we spreading the gospel or making ourselves targets to agents of civilian disarmament? And he says, I love my gun collection. What gun owner doesn't? And take pretty good pictures, plus any chance I get to show and tell my friends in California what free America is like feels pretty good. But he wants to be smart about it too.
Okay, well, basic home security is basic home security, and you should always have a plan to secure your firearms away from the hands of people that should not have access to them. But as far as the tinfoil hat and the government is monitoring Facebook and they're going to come to your house first, I'm going to tell you guys this. If you're out there and you believe in your heart of hearts that exposing yourself as a gun owner to your government is a dangerous thing, that would be a clue. That would be a problem. If you legitimately believe in your heart of hearts, I'm not talking about your problem, the fact that you have a problem. People say, "Oh, you don't let anybody know, don't talk about guns, don't post about guns because the government is monitoring Facebook and Twitter and so forth." Brothers and sisters, if you believe that government agencies would target you specifically as a gun owner, hiding your guns and pretending you don't have them is not the solution to the problem. If you legitimately believe that there are agencies, whether in your state government, your local government, or in the national government, that would specifically target you and single you out based upon the fact that you are a gun owner, that's a problem, such as we've seen in the Great White North here recently, where lawful gun owners have been targeted to random inspections of their gun collections. Not because they were criminals, not because they did anything wrong, but because they were gun owners. Folks, are we seeing that up there in the slave nation, up in New York, up in Connecticut, up in Maryland? You guys look at me, look in the mirror, look at your microphone, or not your microphone, you don't have a microphone, you have speakers. Look at your phone. Tell me, are you up there in New York, in Connecticut, in New Jersey? Do you legitimately feel that your state government and your local government would target you as a gun owner? Not because you're a criminal, not because you're a drug dealer, not because you're a rapist, a felon, a robber, because your crime is owning firearms. If you think that's the case, hiding the guns is not the answer. You know, Jared, this goes all the way back to the Y2K thing. You know, back in '99, I remember picking up, I think it was a Guns and Ammo magazine, and they had an article in there about how to safely and effectively long-term storage your guns, how to put them in, rust-proof containers and to bury them and so forth. And, folks, a lot of my friends that were like, if you think we're going to have a collapse of society, burying your guns is not the answer. Burying and hiding, there's actually even, how to create false walls in your house and brick up the guns and hide them behind. It's like, that's not what they're there for. It's not gold that you're hiding and you do a treasure map so that you can find it later. If you think that your government is going to target you because you're a firearms owner, you need to have a long, hard look in the mirror or a long, hard sit down with your friends and neighbors and say, is this legitimate? And if it is, that's a problem that needs to be fixed. This nation was not founded so that you had to be a frightened peasant worried that the Gestapo was going to come to your house at any moment, kick in your door to randomly inspect your gun collection because you're a gun owner. And folks, you may say, no, that's not going to happen or whatever. Okay, answer your own questions, but pay attention, do your own research, watch what's going on around you. And I'm going to tell you, don't be afraid. And on kind of a separate note or a side note or whatever, it's people that tell you don't ever allow anyone to know that you like guns or involved in guns, or don't ever wear a Remington T-shirt, or don't ever wear a what's that famous camo company, Mossy Oak, or their competing one, Realtree. Don't wear Realtree sweatshirts or Mossy Oak sweatshirts because people think, oh, he's a hunter, and because he's a hunter, he owns guns, and because he owns guns, I'm going to follow him to his house and rob him. That kind of mentality. So, man, if we got to live in a world when we're afraid legitimately, if we're legitimately afraid to express our own likes and desires and to do things lawfully, we got a lot of fixing to do.
You mentioned Canada, and I wanted to. Are we going to talk about the air gun thing?
Well, we already did once.
I wasn't sure.
I don't know if there's another update on that story.
Follow up or not, but anyway, so we had a dude named Dave comment on our radio, studentgunradio.com, and he said, "Glad our Canadian idiocy could be a teachable moment for you guys." He said, "In case you were wondering, the lefties put in this little gem. An air gun is a firearm, and the owner of the air gun needs a firearms license. If it has both a high muzzle velocity, which is greater than 500 feet per second, and a high muzzle energy, greater than 4.2 foot-pounds." He says this is what the RCMP lab is testing for, and he said an airsoft should not be capable of that kind of energy with little plastic BBs, but the process is punishment for those two guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing is those little plastic BBs weigh next to nothing. And in order to get one of those going fast enough and hitting hard enough, they would have to juice that sucker up like some crazy amount. But, most of these high-end airsoft gun things, they're electric. They have little electric motors in them, and they go and shoot the little BBs out. From my experience, and I wrote a column on air guns for like 10 years. Maybe it wasn't 10 years, maybe it was 8 or 9 years, but I wrote a column about air guns, and I tested tons and tons of airsoft guns and pellet guns and BB guns and all kinds of stuff. And I can tell you that 300 feet per second is about the average for a good airsoft gun, for a quality airsoft gun. The normal spring-operated ones, you cock it once and it shoots a BB, it might come out at 175, maybe 200 feet per second max. The high-end ones, even the ones that use CO2 cartridges or that what they call green gas, those might launch them at about 300 feet per second. And when I was talking to a lot of firearms trainers and instructors that use airsoft as their simunitions or they use them for scenarios, the foot-pounds that you're looking, not foot-pounds, the feet per second that you're looking for from one of those is around 3 to 350. Because if it goes much more than that, if you get them up to 4 or higher than 400 feet per second, you're looking at breaking the skin. You're looking at actually, sticking people with those BBs. But I've never in my career encountered a factory airsoft gun that could shoot a little 6mm plastic pellet, a little BB that fast. And I would be very surprised if they were able to come up with that, unless they tweaked it or changed it or modified it. And that's the thing is, like, how in the heck do you know that they might not just decide, oh, well, we're gonna see how fast we can make the BB come out of this thing? I don't know. Oh, you're just supposed to trust them. That's right. You're just supposed to trust the state agents, the state that arrest people for legally having a BB gun. That's what I forgot. I'm sorry. Moving on.
You want to go ahead and get into the first story here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and count me in there, brother. So now part of the public school psychological terrorism has one of our fans said that they now have the fashion police. Yeah, in student wearing military type jacket prompts Southington. Let's call it Southington because it sounds really British, and we know that the British have long since lost their testicles. Southington school lockdown. And where is Southington, Jared? What state is Southington in? Oh, it's in the glorious People's Republic of Connecticut. A student walking in the hall wearing a green military-style jacket prompted a lockdown at a Southington school on Tuesday. This is a week ago Tuesday. John F. Kennedy Middle School on South Main Street in the Plantsville section of Southington was put in a lockdown around 11 a.m. Superintendent of Schools Tom Connellan told Eyewitness News that a student was walking in the hall while others were in class. Maybe he had to pee. Which alarmed a staff member. All right, stop. So, what? So the bell had rung, And the teacher looks out into the hallway, and there's a kid in the hall. I'm alarmed. You're alarmed? Yeah, I'm alarmed. And the staff member described the student as wearing a military-style jacket. Now, there's been various pictures of this jacket popping up online, and one of the pictures that popped up was, you guys know what a bomber jacket is? The ones they issue to the Air Force are nice and snugly warm, and they're green on the outside. But if you get shot down and then you need them to find you, you reverse it and you pull it, and it's bright orange on the other side so that the rescue planes and helicopters can find you. That's the photo that's been floating around the internet. I don't know for 100% that that's what it was. But I don't care if it was a camouflage M65 jacket.
Well, and this story was published on September 16th, 2014. Mm-hmm. What do we know about in September in Connecticut? It's not hot. I'm assuming that it's actually jacket weather.
Well, yeah, it is the north, so it's probably getting cool.
So it's not like the story that Dad told where the dude down here in Biloxi walked into Walmart with
in July.
Yeah.
With a jacket on in July when it's 92 degrees, 100% humidity. Is it not rational for a student to be wearing a jacket? And maybe the jacket was given to him by his father or his grandfather or his uncle or something, and it meant a lot to him. But the train is so far off the tracks up there, and according to what is this? The parent, one of the parents says, we got a call 15 to 20 minutes ago. This is talking to a reporter saying that a teacher saw a suspicious person in the area, and that's all they said. Jared, you want to go ahead and pull the audio from this story? The audio in this story is so insane. I swear to all that is freaking holy that every person interviewed and talked to in this is a sheep and a slave. You people up there in Connecticut inspire the urge to defecate. You make me want to throw up. And I know those two aren't the same. I understand that. But if you guys know a little about Pink Floyd, I thought I would, The Wall, I would give you that one. So you're welcome. Jared, go ahead and pull some of the audio from this.
Police swarming all over campus, parents getting alerts of a lockdown. It was an intense morning for those in the Southington School District. In the end, there was no threat. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Evan White explains what started it all. Evan?
Denise, when police are called, many fear the worst. Today, a report of a suspicious person walking through the hallway at JFK Middle School was enough to prompt a lockdown. Police say it ended up being a student who was walking through the hallways with a military jacket. The tense moments began around 11 a.m.
We got a phone call about 15-20 minutes ago. School was in lockdown. First, a teacher saw a suspicious person in the area, and that's all they said.
Folks, I don't know if they still have these on the books, but when I was a police officer, 20 years ago when I became a police officer, they had a charge. They had a crime on the books, and it was called inciting panic. To incite panic. And it's the typical, stereotypical yelling fire in a crowded movie theater, right? And people say, oh, freedom of speech, and we always do that. That's the thing that they always use. But it is true. They have eventually they had a using a falsehood or knowing. I think the way it was written was something like this: knowingly uttering a falsehood in order to induce panic or fear or what have you. When are we going to start charging some of these people with inducing panic? It almost seems like they want there to be another shooting. Doesn't it not, Jared? Does it seem like they're looking for it, like they desire it, like they need the attention? They need the media attention.
I would say I think they desire the attention to seek their 15 minutes of fame, or they want to be known as the hero.
They can't. It's almost they see, what have we said? It's like the umbrellas and the backpacks and the what have you. What we've got now is we have people that are so psychologically fragile and that are such sheep, such comfortable slaves, that they are seeing what they're not seeing. they're seeing things that aren't even there. Because in their minds, in their sheepish, slavish minds, they've been pre-programmed to be so panicked and so afraid. And instead of thinking, you know what? Okay, I'll throw you a bone. You look out there and you think maybe that person is suspicious or is suspect or what have you. And you say, well, that person's not acting right. Well, what do you do from there? How do you follow up? You run to the phone, dial 911 and say, there's a suspicious person in the hallway and they're wearing a military jacket. And then the 911 operator says, and then?
Okay, we'll be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, and they're like, and then? But now we have 911 operators that are essentially complicit in this panicking. Do they not say, did no one ever say, if I called 911 and said, there's a suspicious man outside. Okay. What is suspicious about the man? Well, he's outside of my building and he's suspicious. Okay, you said that already. What about him? Well, he's wearing a green jacket. And then, so what we've got now though is the moment a phone call comes into 911, into the dispatch center from a school, we're spinning up the choppers. We're fueling the choppers. We're loading the magazines, and we're topping off the tanks on the armored personnel carriers, and we're rolling to the schools with SWAT teams now. Why do we have to do that, Jared? Why do we feel the need to roll SWAT teams every time the phone rings from a school?
Because apparently we have an abundance of money.
Well, yeah. Do I know bad things happen at schools? Yeah, I do. I know that bad things have happened at schools. I know that the, quote, Sandy Hook incident stinks to high heaven. Dude, did you see the latest on that?
No.
That, okay, the FBI does uniform crime stats year by year, and it always takes a full year after. So, like, the 2013 stats won't be available until the end of 2014 and so forth. And one of the I think it might have been Breitbart. They pulled the FBI's uniform crime statistics for that region of Connecticut for 2012, and they reported 0 murders.
Yeah, but I did see that.
Did someone debunk that? And
no,
say it wasn't
but I'm
true?
going to debunk it right now.
All right, go ahead.
Because I'm smart like that. Sandy Hook, it happened in December of 2012, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it was in December, I think December 14th, 2012. I'm pretty sure the government runs on, they're not with, I'm pretty sure January is not the beginning. I'm pretty sure it ends in October.
No, you're trying to say fiscal year?
Yeah.
October to October?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I don't think the FBI crime stats run on.
You don't think so?
Fiscal is money. That's budget.
Yeah, but when I'm assuming that they're not dumb enough to make that mistake and put 0 in there.
Well, maybe they think nobody's paying attention. Yeah, I'm going to go, Jared. Before you say that, you need to look up FBI uniform crime statistics, and I'm pretty sure it's January 1st to December 31st. I don't believe that the FBI would use a fiscal year for their statistical tracking, because that wouldn't make any sense. I know, and fiscal year has always been weird to me. It's like, why can't we just call it January 1st to December 31st? But I know I'm not an accountant, and I'm not that smart, and it's complicated. Okay. But getting back to this story about in Connecticut, folks, are you guys getting sick of this? I am. And when do we get to the point of the cry wolf? I mean, the umbrellas, the backpacks, the jackets. When do we get to the point where you, as a nation, as a community, are sick enough of it? When do we get to the point that you've had enough? Apparently, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And these parents are like, it's like after the umbrella thing. Well, I'm just glad to know that everyone's okay. Well, everyone was okay regardless. There was no threat. It was manufactured. It was made up. It's Chicken Little nonsense. And instead of saying, I see a suspicious person, let me take 1 or 2 more steps to determine what may be going on or is not going on, I'm just going to panic because I see a black rigid object. So it obviously is an AR-15 rifle. It couldn't possibly be in an umbrella. Folks, it's crazy. And if you don't say something about it, if you don't point it out, if they'll say, no, stop. If you just follow in with the rest of the sheep, follow in with them. Oh, well, it's better to be safe than sorry. Really? You want to play the it's better to be safe than sorry game? That's how you have the TSA strip searching, handicapped people in wheelchairs and little old ladies and little 3 and 4-year-old girls at checkpoints putting their hands down their pants. That's the better to be safe than sorry mentality, and it's horse crap, and it's an excuse to be mentally lazy and not to think. And I'm tired of the story, and we're moving on to the next one. All right, but now the first one was in a slave state, but we decided to use our psychological terrorism update. But the next couple of stories, matter of fact, with the next 1, 2, 3 stories we have, actually are all slave state news. And we haven't given you a slave state update in a while, so Jared's going to give that to you right now.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see just now the shadow.
You guys out there remember Dwayne Ferguson, the gun control activist who was arrested and charged with carrying a gun in a public elementary school? What? Yeah, this is up in the glorious People's Republic of New York. Mr. Dwayne Ferguson, an outspoken supporter of the SAFE Act and of gun control in New York, he's going for Hypocrite of the Century. And he got busted for carrying a gun in a public school. And he said his defense was he forgot that he was carrying it. Well, first of all, how are you a gun control supporter and you're looking for greater firearms restrictions and you are carrying a gun at all? And then B, well, I forgot. And then C, I forgot I wasn't supposed to carry it into the elementary school. Well, you guys aren't supposed to remember that. You're supposed to have short memories like squirrels with ADD. And they finally gotten around to sentencing this guy. And this comes to us from the dailycaller.com. It's in their education section. It says, on Monday, Judge John L. Mikulik. Oh, that's cool. His name's Mikulik. But he's not a cool guy like Jerry Mikulik is. This guy apparently is a left-wing douche because he sentenced Mr. Ferguson. He should have sentenced him. They should have charged him with being hypocrite of the century, but they didn't charge him with that. He sentenced him to 100 hours of community service. Oh, but he gave him a stern warning to keep his nose clean. What is that even? Can we stop using that colloquialism? Are we issuing out tissue now so people can clean their noses? First of all, it's stupid, and let's just stop using it. But it's one of those things that they just keep regurgitating over and over again. Mikulik sternly ordered Ferguson to keep his nose clean. Shut up. Whatever. And let me guess, they're going to put him on supervised probation because, boy, supervised probation sure does keep bad people from doing bad things. You want to keep bad people from doing bad things? Lock them away. You want to keep murderers from murdering again? Put them in the chair and turn the switch on. That's how you do it. Probation is a joke. As somebody who was a police officer for 17 years, let me tell you what. You want to know what a joke is? Probation. Probation is a joke. All right? And parole is a joke. And prisoner rehab is a joke. And until you, as a nation, nut up and say, you know what? We're sick of this. We're not putting up with these recidivist criminals anymore. It's not going to stop. But here we go. We got Mr. Ferguson, hypocrite of the century, who's a strong gun control proponent, gets busted for carrying a gun in an elementary school. Now ask yourself this. Riddle me this, Batman. Let's say it was you. Let's say you are a lawful concealed carry guy or a lawful concealed carry girl, and you forget and you get busted for carrying a gun in your kid's school, you think the judge is going to be so lenient with you? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Now, moving on to more slave state news. So we've got the Glorious People's Republic in New York there, and we're going to move a little bit south to the Glorious People's Republic of New Jersey. And this story comes to us from www.nj.com. And the story is, what New Jersey really needs is mandatory gun buybacks. Yes, you heard that right. And this is an editorial by, let me see, what is this douche nozzle's name? It comes by the Star Ledger's editorial board. Are you kidding me, Jared? Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that they didn't have the guts to actually put someone's name on this story? Am I missing that?
No, I
can find is
see a name.
The editorial board. Okay, so they really believe in this so strongly. They have such strong feelings about this that they're not even willing to put anyone's name on the story. That's so cowardly. But what do you expect from liberals and puke-faced slaves up in New Jersey? Let me go ahead and start it out for you here. And this comes, like I said, from the Star Ledger's editorial board, Dateline, September 19th, 2014, updated on September 20th, 2014. There's little harm in a bill our state assembly just passed to expand gun buyback programs across New Jersey. It comes at no cost to the taxpayers. It would be paid for with forfeiture funds and private donations. And who knows, it may even do some good. Having fewer guns lying around could mean they won't end up in the hands of a curious child, an abusive spouse, or a suicidal person. Having a gun at home makes it 3 times more likely that you'll be murdered by a family member, an intimate partner, or successfully attempt suicide.
Where did those stats come from?
Apparently someone at the Star Ledger editorial board's rectum. So here's what you need to do in New Jersey. What you New Jersey slaves need to know, that the recent assembly just passed the law to expand gun buyback programs. Stop! What is a gun buyback program? Buy it back from whom? Did the state originally own it, and then someone purchased it from the state, and now the state is buying it back from them? Was it ever the property of the state? If I have a Ruger Mark II pistol, and I purchased it from Academy Outdoors, and it was manufactured by Sturm Ruger Incorporated, it was never the property of the state. The state never owned it. Therefore, the state cannot buy it back. Folks, this is crap, but what do you expect from the comfortable slaves in the People's Republic of New Jersey? And if you are in New Jersey and you're part of the New Jersey Second Amendment Foundation, what I want you to do is to write me and tell me what you're doing to, quote, fight the good fight. Because it doesn't seem like this nonsense is going away. It seems to be ramping up. But I continue. The story is not over. After we talk about how you're more likely to be killed by a family member, an intimate partner, or successfully attempt suicide. So suicide failures are acceptable, but suicide attempts that are successful. Jared, did you know that successful suicide attempts did not originate on planet Earth until the invention of the firearm?
I didn't know that. That's news.
Up until the invention of the firearm, no one on planet Earth could successfully off themselves. They hadn't figured out how to do it until firearms were designed and invented.
Yeah,
Hey, Jared.
Nowadays, since pills are a lot harder to get than firearms.
Go to the local medicine cabinet at almost every home in America and tell me how many narcotics and pills are in there. But I digress because we need those. Hey, Jared, do you know anything about female suicide? About women?
I
What is
assume that it means that a female kills herself.
No. I mean, and I know this from being a police officer and having been involved in it. When women kill themselves, when women off themselves, what is their preferred method of doing so? Do you know what it is?
Pills?
Yep, it's pills. More women kill themselves by ODing than any other thing. And then the second thing they do is they slit their wrists. Very rarely do women shoot themselves. And as a matter of fact, if you have a supposed suicide where a woman has shot themselves, in law enforcement, a good law enforcement officer, a good detective will immediately treat it as a homicide, because it is very rare that a woman will shoot herself, because women, even though they may want to end their own lives, don't want to leave a messy corpse, and they don't want to leave something nasty behind. That's one nice thing about women. But we're not here to talk about suicide. We're here to talk about New Jersey and what a bunch of comfortable slaves and lunatics they are. So, but let's not, the story continues, but let's not kid ourselves. Gun buyback programs are not going to reduce murders in cities like Newark and Camden. Studies have found that buyback programs don't have much effect overall on either gun crime or gun-related injuries. So here in this story, after the whole 2-paragraph lead-up about how it's a good idea and how it could mean that a curious child, and an abusive spouse, and a suicidal person won't find a gun lying around, because apparently in New Jersey, there are guns just lying around. You know, you just walk down the street, hey, there's a gun, I'm going to pick that up. But then they go down, and they have to admit that studies have found that buyback programs don't have much effect on the overall gun crime or gun-related injuries. But it's something, and we need to do something, because something is important.
Yeah, but it doesn't work because it's not mandatory.
Right. So here we go. It says they don't directly target the guns that are more likely to be used in violence, and in general, the guns collected haven't overlapped with much crimes. You mean somebody who is a no-kidding criminal, robber, felon, thief, drug dealer isn't going to take their gun down to the local police department and sell it for $200 or whatever? No, they aren't. These old weapons are that some middle-aged guy found in a basement. What criminal is going to trade in his... listen to this here. What criminal is going to trade in his $700 Bushmaster for $250 from the state? I love that they found that word. I'm sure they're really impressed by themselves because they found the word Bushmaster. And a $700 Bushmaster is pretty cheap. But the biggest problem with this approach, though, is that it tiptoes around the one reform that could really make a difference, but that Americans would never accept. Mandatory gun buybacks. That's what Australia did after its own version of Newtown, which was a lie. Do the research. Hey, do we know that there has not been one lawsuit filed in the Newtown shootings? Now, conspiracy time. We're not going to talk about that. We just have to accept everything we're told. Following a mass shooting in Tasmania that left 35 dead, Australia banned semi-automatic and automatic rifles and shotguns. They had automatic rifles and shotguns there, and required that newly banned weapons be bought back from by the government. Here we go again with the bought back thing. This cut the number of gun-owning households in half. But what's not in here? Let me see. I'm looking. Oh, it said, guess what? It worked in Australia. According to the communists up in New Jersey at the Ledger here, it worked. Gun homicides fell by 59% and suicides fell by 65%. First of all, I don't believe that for 1 second. And it virtually eliminated mass shootings. Jared, what are we getting from our folks down under? From the people that actually live in Australia, not in the gilded halls of the editorial department in New Jersey. What have our Australian friends and listeners told us about this wonderful gun ban situation?
That it may have reduced mass shootings, but not so much individual violent crimes.
Violent crime is way up in Australia.
And also, I had one of the dudes write in telling me about the terrorist attacks in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do we know?
Johnny Jihad is
Yeah.
ramping it up there in Australia.
And if you live in Australia, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. You have to rely on somebody else
well,
to.
the state will protect you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will. That's
Oh, yeah.
why. That's why that happened.
Don't worry, the state will protect you.
Did you know that if we give up all our guns, terrorists won't attack us?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We should disarm ourselves. How's that working out in England? They gave up all their guns, and the Johnny Jihad over there, they're just randomly chopping people's heads off now in England because, what do they have to fear? Let's say you're Johnny Jihad in England. What do you have to fear? That they might catch you and slap you on the hand. And I mean, hell, they bent over backwards for that last jihadist that cut the lady's head off in her backyard. They couldn't get to the microphones fast enough to say that it wasn't terrorism and it wasn't related to Islam. So yeah, we thought you guys would appreciate that coming from New Jersey there, the People's Republic of New Jersey. Now, this happened right after, or we got the story right after the last one that we did. New Jersey bear eats hiker. And all we have to say about this is if the hiker would have stood under a security camera in a well-lit area with the LifeSafe app on their phone, then he would probably still be alive today. So when you go to the woods, folks, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you turn on the LifeSafe app on your phone. Make sure you stay in a well-lit area and that you are very close to a gun-free zone sign. And if you do all of those things, the bears will not eat you, just so you know. Now, this last piece of information or news is actually a good news. And it's surprisingly good news because as some of you guys, especially students of the gun, know, a woman named Shaneen Allen, who was a lawful concealed carry permit holder in Pennsylvania, made the mistake of driving over the Pennsylvania-New Jersey line into the glorious People's Republic of New Jersey. And when she was stopped, she admitted to the state trooper that she had a loaded gun and her concealed carry permit on her. So they immediately arrested her and charged her with violating New Jersey law because, well, obviously she was a terrorist and a criminal and she needs to be punished. Well, what they did, the prosecutor in the situation decided not to charge her with multiple felonies, and they instead allowed her to go through diversion training. Now, what do we know about diversion training? It's basically state-sponsored brainwashing. But it looks like she's not going to be charged with multiple felonies now. So that is amazing. It's very surprising good news coming out of the glorious Republic of New Jersey. And we're curious people. And what we'd like you to do is, because Jared always puts the show notes up, is go ahead and follow the link, take a look at it yourself, and see what you think and what may have been a deciding factor in this specific incident. It's easy for me to say. All right, folks, we're coming right up to the end of part number 1 of Student of the Gun Radio this week. Thank you yet once again for joining us. We hope that we haven't broken Jared's new sound mixing board and that it's going to work for the next episode. We hope that everything is coming out of the speakers on your end just fine. Don't forget about Student of the Gun TV, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on Dish Network Channel 266. And don't forget, if you have the Roku app, the Apple TV app, or the Chromecast app, you can watch Student of the Gun TV on TV Gone Wild or on the Hunt channel. You want to make sure that you're checking that out. And Jared, tell them how they can be. We just had Student of the Gun University training classes here, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tell the folks who are listening how they can find out about Student of the Gun training.
You can find out about Student of the Gun training by going to sotgu.com, and it'll take you to a page. It gives you all the classes that we offer right now, and you can get the information for the classes. You can schedule a class or whatever you want to do.
Jared, what if they can't make the trip? Is there any way that they can get some information or watch a video? directly. They can. Is there any way they can direct stream a video onto their computer?
Yeah, we've got the Armed Living DVD direct streaming from the Gumroad account. You can watch that. Again, it kind of gives you a little bit of a teaser of the instruction that you'll receive.
And how do they want to access that?
You go to gumroad.com/studentofthegun, and you can get to the DVD or the third hour, the bonus hour of radio.
Yeah, you just also go to studentofthegunradio.com, and there'll be a little hyperlink right there that says bonus hour. You click on it, you go to it, and there you are. All right, folks, that is going to bring us to the end of part number 1. Stay tuned for part number 2. We're going to talk about Aloha Snack Bar and the Religion of Peace and what those guys have been up to the last week or so. Remember, if you're a beginner once, you are a student for life.